What's going on? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Hey, on this topic today, what I'm gonna be discussing, I'm trying to find out who is the leader of black people in America. If we even have a black leader, who do we follow? What, you know, what are the guidelines that we abide by? How do we conduct ourselves in this environment? Who do we talk to when we want demands? What type of coalitions do we get behind? Who do we put all of our focus into to be the one that speaks for us? Because me personally, I don't know. I don't think we specifically have a leader as of right now. There are some people that some people get behind. It depends on, as far as the conscience community, you got the woke community, you got people who are in the political community and they have a certain leader. Mostly once you get to like politics and the left leaning, then you're gonna have Democratic leaders, people like Al Sharpton, and they'll scream up and down like, "No, he's not our leader. He's too old." But they always kind of fall behind a lot of those people. Even some of the black podcasters, including some of the black women like Angela Rye and others, they're very dominant and very prominent to me when it comes to the left side. And on the right side, it's not too many. I know a few, but mostly the people on the right, they're called coons, and typically by the overall black community, they're outcast. They are, they're well known by other people, but overall, when it comes to just the black side, people typically shun those type of people. Um, if you're black and you lean more conservative, then you are more shunned. When it comes to the woke conscience community, you have people like Umar Johnson, who's been having his problems as of late, and but to me, he gives more support when it comes to black women than he does the overall black community. That's not to say that I don't think that any black men get behind Dr. Umar Johnson, but for the most part, it's more so black women than it is black men. And then you have others who I listen to, and he's not my leader. Every time I hear people speak about certain things, and when we are discussing a lot of things that he says, people uses that to say that he's our leader. People like Tariq Nasheed. Now, some people they fall behind him and they stand on every word that he says, and they will run you down or get mad at you about going against him, and that's Tariq Nasheed. But me, I like some of the things that he says. I like the term that he used, which is the foundational Black American term, which for me is something that I can get behind, and it's very straight to the point, and it makes a lot of sense. And I, because I'm black and I like being American, I like the term that he uses, which is foundational Black American, because black people who are in our lineage, we consider ourselves foundational to this country because we were here prior to the Civil War, prior to slavery, uh, prior to slaves being brought over here. Once you start to dig deep into those things, you know that there were a lot of black people who were already here, not only in this country, but on this continent. And some people they don't like that idea. They want you to fall behind other things. They want you to disregard the fact that there were black people here. They want you to think that every one of us came on slave ships, which is not true. And then they also want you to believe that all of us hate this country and we don't want to be here, and that's also not true. And that's why I say I like the term that Tariq uses, which is foundational, is because we, as the people who call ourselves foundational Black American, because I know there are other people who we consider foundational Black Americans who don't like the term foundational Black American, but they are foundational Black American according to the way we describe it. And I'm just trying to figure out who is the person that we go to. Who do we talk to? Who do we ask things of, that maybe they have a stronger voice where they could get in front of a crowd and whatnot and get things done? I don't think there's too many. Um, the ones who could get it done, I don't know, if any. Uh, Me personally, I don't like the thought of having a leader, but I understand the need for one because a lot of people and a lot of groups need guidance, and a lot of groups usually have someone who is the go-to person in the community. Uh, but I think overall, as Black people, I think it's hard for us to have a leader per se, for the simple fact that we have a tendency to be self-destructive when it comes to leaders. We try to tear each other down. You have quite a few people who consistently even say that, even when you're not tearing someone down. We have others who you give critiques about them and they say that you're tearing down the community, which is not healthy for their type of dynamic. Because if you want to have a healthy group, then there has to be some form where people can relay their thoughts and feelings, their what they like, what they dislike, have any comments without fear of being rejected by the group as a whole. And I think we do that so much to the point where some people don't even want to speak up. Some people don't want to be leaders. Others don't want to be the person that everyone say. Like if we was to say, "Oh yeah, he's a good speaker. Yeah, he can. We'll put him up front." That person could say, "Nah, because y'all might kill me," or you know, anything can happen. And we know that in our community, once you have a consensus, then everybody wants you to stay with that line of thinking. They want you to stay in line with that. And if you get off of that, then it's like, oh, we're gonna blow the whole thing up. That we have no need for this person anymore, which is something that I've been talking about over the last few days. Um, we got so many people who are ready to just burn everything down once they don't get their way. That is really disgusting, if you ask me. And so that's why I posed the question that who is our leader? Who do we get behind if we even have one? Like I say, I don't think we have one. But who we could get behind, I've been thinking about that, and I don't know. If anybody has any thoughts or who they think should be our leader, leave that in the comments section. If you end up watching this video somewhere down the line, make sure I hit the like button, make sure I hit the subscribe button. Also, turn on the notification bell and leave comments at the bottom of the section of this video. But I think this whole leadership thing is not going to work for us. I think we have to have a mentality where we think for ourselves, more of a, I won't say a loner's mentality, but I think there are a few things as a whole that we should agree upon and say, this is what we want as a group. Now, all of us may not agree with that, but if the majority of us agree with that, then that may be what we should go with. But I also think there are some things that men need to be in control of, where we say, no, I may not agree with it, but for the betterment of our people and for the betterment of our community, this is what we're going to go with. So i'm going to I'm going to go along with everybody else and say, yes, this is what we should do. This should be a part of our agenda going forward, and this is going to help us in the long run, whether I agree with it or not. And so I think we have to have those types of dynamics as well. um, as I was coming up with this, I just couldn't really think of too many leaders. Like I was trying to think of who are our leaders. Like I know I spouted off a few in the beginning, but when you think about the 60s and prior to that, it was so many other people that the Black community looked upon, or read their books, or so somebody had great intellect that others looked up to, or they tried to conduct themselves like, or they got behind certain types of people, and we just don't have those types of people anymore. I think that so many people today are so divisive. um and another aspect of it, we don't know who's here to get money. We don't know who's here to actually put the needs of our community first. We don't know who's going to do that. We just know that some people or just here, and a lot of times it reveals itself over time what they're really trying to do. Maybe they are here just to get money. Maybe they set us up. Maybe they got everybody to get on board with something that they totally didn't believe in themselves. And that has always been a problem when it comes to our community as well. It's just a few things that we have to clean up, but I don't think it's nothing that we couldn't overcome. I don't think it's nothing that we couldn't push forward and get through and do better as a community, because I know that black people, we can do great things, and we don't have to have certain types of cultures. As I always talk about, the ratchet culture, the whole culture, the gangster mentality that some of us have, or we think is cool. Those things, we don't have to have those things. Uh we're so creative, we're so, you know, forward thinking when it comes to culture, when it comes to life, when it comes to dress, when it comes to music, when it comes to food, that I think we don't have to have things a certain way that they are now. We can create even better things. You know, we got rap, and then you have gangster rap. I think gangster rap can really go away. We can get back to more of the intellectual rap, and I know that people really wouldn't gravitate towards that over in the beginning, but I think over time, as people begin to listen and listen and listen to something different, then it would just change people's mindsets. And plus, when you, if you had a whole generation who didn't know anything about gangster rap, then it wouldn't even bother them to hear a bunch of intellectual rappers. You know what I'm saying? Or like the young women who hear a lot of the ratchet music and the whole culture type music that a lot of these women are pushing. If they didn't have that type of music, then it wouldn't bother them to just hear women just be women. If even if they were rapping, just talk about women things. So it's certain things that we can get past, we can push forward and get beyond. That would help us in the long run, I think. Uh, I just think that that's one of those things that we can eventually get past. And the reason why I was saying that was, like I said, a lot of the clips that I've been showing these last couple of days when it pertains to the whole Stephen A. Smith situation is that it's so many of us that get behind people who think that we should be one way. And I've been seeing people who have been responding to Stephen A. And a lot of folks know that I'm not like some big Stephen A. fan, but the way that they're attacking him just proves my point of what I say a lot of times about the way that people come at Stephen A. Smith. And I'm gonna show y'all one right here. Let me get it. Let me get it on screen.
I really hate to have to give Stephen A. Smith's funky ass any more attention than he deserves. But when we ask black men to step up for us and then they get attacked for having our back, then it's incumbent upon us to speak up for them as well. So to hear Stephen A. Smith come for Bacardi.
See, those people like her, I think they worded it wrong. What they're saying is, when we have black men who agree with us, then we're gonna stand up for them. Because if they don't agree with us, then we're gonna talk crap about them. And I'm gonna get in my ghetto phase, because that's Reese Corbett. And if y'all know anything about her, she loves the whole. And this is what I'm gonna tell you like this. And look, bitch, and she likes to cuss and get all rambunctious and do a lot of things. And keep in mind, she's also one of these educated black women who's always talking about the degrees and the things that she's accomplished, and how men are this and men are that, even though she's married. But her husband is probably a simp. But she's that type of woman.
Sellers. We ain't having that shit. Absolutely the fuck not. Stephen A. Smith is sitting up here talking about his platform and how all these people are listening to him. You think it's a flex that the people who are cut from the cloths of the motherfuckers who went to the lynchings of our ancestors with popcorn like it was fucking entertainment tuning into you is a flex? That's not a flex. That's embarrassing. You should be ashamed that your buck dancing is entertainment for them. There is only.
And there you go. There you go. You cannot be a black man in this day and age and represent a certain way of thinking. It has to be what she thinks is right. And if you don't, then you buck dancing. And you should be embarrassed. That's what she just said. You should be embarrassed. Because God forbid that you don't think that every white person is racist like she does. And they can't get over that. They can't get over that, which kills me. And you know why? She's saying all this stuff about basically about the network that Stephen A is on and the different platforms that he's under and how they're controlled by white men. That's what she's getting at. But let's keep this in mind. When I used to be a Democrat, I can remember her being on the Karen Hunter show, which used to come on Sirius XM. You think black people own Sirius XM? Huh? She used to come on the Karen Hunter show, and I can remember a time when she said that she didn't really say it, but she was upset that she didn't get a spot in the administration when Kamala Harris was vice president because I think she worked for Kamala Harris. She started having little slick stuff to say back then. So she was upset because she wasn't a part of that whole, I don't know, white supremacist faction that she would say. But you know what? If people were working for the president and vice president, she would definitely say the same thing about them. Like, oh, they're just a part of this whole movement. They don't even understand. But she wanted to be a part of it. And then Karen Hunter got her own show on Sirius XM, and she may still have that show on Sirius XM. So she can have a show on Sirius XM, which is run by white folks, but Stephen A can't be on ESPN. He can't be on YouTube. He can't be on. I can't think of the parent company that his show is under. Uh, his Stephen A. Smith show. It may be under his own, but I think it's something else. It's another company that he works for. So he can't do that because those are white people who ate popcorn and watched our ancestors hang from trees. But she can have a whole show on Sirius XM, which is ran by white people. And she can be on other platforms like MSNBC, which is ran by white folks. And so the difference is because he doesn't agree with her or his thoughts doesn't align with hers, that some way he's a sellout because that's what she's saying.
Only one reason why a person like you, who has no depth, no qualifications, and no knowledge in the political realm, is even given a political platform. It's because you know absolutely the fuck nothing, but you're willing to sit up here with your loud blowhard ass and be loud and fucking wrong and attack other black people in particular. And they have to get people like you to do it because people who have any fucking sense and any actual knowledge of how our political process works, and the people who are actually doing the work to move our community forward, which, by the way, all skin folk ain't even kin folk. So I don't even think that we're even talking about the same community when we say our community. Did they have enough sense to not fucking attack those people? Because let's not confuse platform with impact. You might have a bigger platform. You might have more followers. You might have more money, but money cannot buy you credibility and money cannot buy you legacy. And those are things that the Bakari Sellers and the Jasmine Crockett's of the world are unimpeachable in. You could take some motherfucking notes on building those things, not off the backs of black people who are actually doing shit for our community.
You know what's funny, once again, about statements like that is if she had more money than Stephen A, if she had a bigger platform than Stephen A, guess what she would be saying about Stephen A? She would be telling him, you can't get mad because, see, we got more followers than you. I got more money than you. That's why you're really mad. That's what she would be saying. Which it comes to the point where it's a lose-lose situation with these people. You cannot disagree with them. And this is why I say it's hard for us to even have leaders. It's hard for us to even follow or listen to other people or get behind other people and not be totally aligned with them without somebody wanting to completely and totally tear you down. I don't agree with her. I don't agree with anybody on that Native Land podcast. They was totally out of bounds. Even Bakari Sellers with his coonball ass. They're some of the lamest people on the face of the planet Earth. It's like they get on these podcasts with these black women and they sound like black women. And they do things because they don't want to upset black women. Because black women have begun to control their lives. They can't come up off of it. Also, I want to go to his response, Bakari Sellers' response.
I wanted to spend a minute and respond to the comments made by Stephen A. Smith on his podcast yesterday. Usually I ascribe to the notion that you don't roll around with pigs because you both get muddy and the pig likes it, or you never argue with fools because people who are watching can't tell the difference. But I thought it was necessary just for me to respond and be extremely clear about my issue. And Stephen, is this. I utilize words like charlatan because you use your platform, one that you've grown with great success, a very large platform that people listen to. But you use your platform to tear down the people who are actually in our communities doing the work.
There they go, running right back to that same answer. People in our community who are doing the work. What work and who are they doing this work for? Because for some odd, strange reason, they can't seem to grasp the fact that a lot of people are moving away from the Democrats. A lot of people are moving away from their policies. And they are still pushing these policies that people are saying we don't want. So the response is for people to ignore them and for people to tune them out. But they don't get it. People are tuning them out. I'm looking for something real quick. I wanted to pull up something also and show you why I say that. But I'm going to continue. I'm going to finish this and I'm going to get into that.
That is a great responsibility that you have. And so what you hear in my voice, and I want to be extremely clear, what you hear in my voice is not resentment, my guy. I don't resent you at all. In fact, I pray for your success. But what you hear in my voice is disappointment. It's disappointment because we have a level of expectation for you. We in our community have a level of expectation for you, and what you hear in my voice and many others is disappointment. See, I know the shoulders on which you stand. I know Big House Gaines, basketball coach at Winston-Salem State University. I know Stuart Scott. I know Dave Roberts, who helped create your platform at First Take, who used to come over to our house in the 1980s before I was born and eat spaghetti dinner when he was just starting out in Greensboro, North Carolina. I know you stand on the shoulders of strong black men, and you are disappointing us every time you continue to chop down those people who are doing that real work. And so, yeah, I think it's necessary that we call that out. I think it's necessary we have that level of accountability, especially right now while you're appreciating the gaze of those individuals in the White House, the gaze of people like Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly. But yet and still, you're quiet as a church mouse pissing on cotton when Donald Trump is out here trying to take away our voting rights, when he's putting police and National Guard in our American cities, taking black and brown people out of their homes. Yeah, you're quiet on those things that matter. And when people like Jasmine Crockett or Kamala Harris or even Bakari Sellers speak up and speak out, you rather tear us down than actually talk about the issues that are directly affecting.
I'm still trying to get to that point. Out of all the videos that I've heard them respond to Stephen A. and say all of these things, I cannot get to the point where I'm hearing Stephen A. tear them down. I don't understand how critiquing someone is tearing them down. I'm not. That's something that I'm still not comprehending every time they say that. I don't understand that.
Our people. So yeah, I'm not resenting you. I'm more prayerful than you ever would imagine. And so I hold you to that level of expectation, but I think at the end of the day, we're different. I think we're different because you rather those individuals and the Donald and Eric Trumps and the Bill O'Reillys to say, job well done. And I'm looking for people like Marion Berrien and Julian Bond, Judy Richardson, my dad, Cleveland Sellers, I'm looking for the people who actually did the work and whose shoulders we stand upon to be able to look at me when I'm done with my journey and say, you put your heart in it. You put your shoulder to the wheel to help our people get out the ditch.
And you did what I wanted you to do. You made me proud, son. You didn't follow your own path. You did what I wanted you to do. You said what I wanted you to say. Job well done.
So yeah, you can get my number. It ain't changed in a long time. No, I ain't never tried to come on your show. But if there's a conversation to be had, I'm man enough to have it. Ball's in your court.
What Bakari said.
Listen, I had to get to this point right here. I think this is it. I was watching Roland Martin, and this is what, when they always speak about black people and who voted and who didn't vote, it always amazes me which way they lean when they say that. Let's check this out.
States throughout the South, it made it easier for people to participate in their democracy.
Right, but Ken, the only way you can make it easier to change the laws if people are organized and mobilized to vote. And look,
I don't disagree.
I mean, when Beto, perfect example. Okay, you said you've been down to Texas. All right, there are 254 counties in Texas. How many county Democratic offices do you have?
Well, this is one thing I've been actually talking about, because that's a good example of where we're not organized.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So there are 254. For the longest, it was only 81. That's 2/3 of the state where you do not have a county Democratic presence. Ain't no way you're gonna win if you're not in 160 plus counties. And so when I say not organized, what I'm literally talking about, look, when Beto lost to Greg Abbott for governor, 75% of people 30 and under did not vote. And so.
But you know what they always assume when they say that about it? They automatically assume that a majority of those people are going to vote Democrat. That's where they lose me, because the people who I know who didn't vote, when they talk about politics, they lean more Republican, they lean more conservative, that I know. Now, I just may be in a circle of people who think or speak a certain way, but overall, the people who say that they're not going to vote, who I know, are typically leaning more conservative, more Republican. They never, and I know that they always say this for sure. They say, but you know what? If I was to vote, I'm definitely not going to vote Democrat. I get that more than anything. And I got that more than anything the last election, when some people were saying I was crazy. I was like, bro, Trump going to win. And it was like, what? I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of black people that vote for Trump. Even though the majority of us still voted Democrat, you saw how the numbers starting to change when it comes to the black vote going more Republican. It's just a fact. And I'm peeping it. I'm hearing and listening to what people saying. When I start hearing black women saying this, and it's a young black girl that I talked to on my show. She was like one of the first guests on my show. And me and her used to work at Walmart together. The way that she talks now, even more, she ain't never gonna be no Democrat. And when I start hearing young black women saying stuff like that, and she has a baby now, it's not gonna happen. I even know one female who lives in, I'm just gonna say, on the West Coast. She had to move to another state because her state was so bad with the whole LGBTQ stuff. I know she's never going to vote Democrat. She said it. But in people's minds, like Roland, they think that, yeah, 70% of people, what did he say, 30 and under didn't vote? That they're going to vote Democrat. It's a lie. It's just not true. It's just not true. And so that's why I say we need to have some form of leadership, I guess. But I think that leadership has to be open to people having their own thoughts and their own way of thinking. Those people can't be made to believe that they have to go along with one thing and that's it. We got to stay on this path and that's it. Because once you get into stuff like that, then you're going to start to lose people, especially in this generation now where people don't want to be behind somebody 100%. Yeah, we want to look to somebody for guidance and we want to look to somebody to, you know, okay, I can kind of pattern myself in the way that this guy speaks or the way that this person carries themselves. But I don't want to be just like them and I don't want to do everything that they're doing. There's some things that I want to do different. There's some ways that I'm thinking it should go and not the same way that you think. And we have to be open to that because we got a lot of people that's not trying to fall in line with one way. And that's just how I feel. But let me go ahead and get off of here. I appreciate everybody watching the show. I appreciate y'all checking out the channel. Uh, Y'all catch me next time. Make sure y'all turn on the notification bell. If you hit the subscribe button, make sure you leave comments in the comment section. Make sure you also hit that like button. And also, you know, hype the video. They got a new section down at the bottom. It's called hype. Hype the video. That way it pushes us through the algorithm. More people will see us. More people will interact with the show. This is an interactive show. I try to make it where people can come up. If they just randomly come in, they see the link and click on it. And so that's what I want. But I'm going to get off of here. I appreciate everybody watching me. I appreciate y'all checking it out. And as always, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.